So now we're going to be looking at the selection tools. So we have different ways that we can select, and it's great that Photoshop really opens this up and gives you a little bit demo about how this works. So we have the lasso tool, polygonal, and magnetic, and we also have the magic tool and quick selection. Plus, we can also use these to quickly select. I chose this because if we look here, there is a nice color contrast between the dark green and this lovely pinkish maroon color that you see going on here. So it's going to be a little bit easier to select out of this, but this could be slightly harder. Now usually when you see an image, it will be on a white back, and so it can really make it easy to select that from the background. And you can use that by using these types of selecting methods over here. But sometimes this perfect flower that you want could be in a whole field, and then you'll want to probably use the pen tool down here, and we'll get into that in another video. So one way we can look at this is first we can come over here, and I prefer the quick selection tool over the magic wand, but it's really what you want from the selection. So I'll show you what magic wand can do. And you can see here, it did actually a really good job at picking up the different parts of that, okay? It's missing a couple here, and we might want to get a little bit closer in there. But you can also add that. But it can be really hard to maybe take that away and play with it a little bit more and select it perfectly. But let's just say this is the selection that we want. What we can do here, we can hit delete, and we could fill it in with the white, or let me go back with Command Z. If this was unlocked, we can delete that. You get that checkerboard pattern. There's nothing wrong with this. If you would print this on a white piece of paper, the white background would still be white because the paper is white. This is sort of just the demo default background for Photoshop. But let me go back again, and so right now the easiest thing to pick was the green background because it's a solid color and it really has no competition with the contrast of the other colors of the flower. But maybe I wanted to actually select the flower, so I can come up here to select and I can do inverse. And now if I hit delete, it would take out the flower. So that's one way that you could select using the magic wand tool. Again, not my favorite, but a good way to do something quick and fast if that's what you want. And it does a pretty good job at that. So what I would prefer is the quick selection tool. And let me zoom in for you. And remember, right bracket key on your keyboard, you can make the selection tool bigger. Left, you can make it smaller. So I'm going to deselect, and you can come up to here to deselect, or Command D, which is really nice as well. So I'm going to try to select the flower now with the quick selection tool. And you can see all I'm doing is holding down my mouse and sliding over it. And you can see it's picking up some other things. You know, like let's say I just picked up that, and I picked up that here, and over here I might have picked up a little bit. But what I can do now is I can sort of fine tune this where I'm going to hold down Option, so again, the powerhouse of keys, and I'm going to sort of suck this back in. And what I'm doing is lowering my brush, and if you don't want to do it that way, you can come up here and lower the size this way, okay? But left bracket, I'm going to make that smaller. I'm going to add back to it. I'm also going to take that away. Now something like this, what you can do with your selections is that you can switch from selection to selection. So maybe you start off with the quick selection and then you go up to the magnet, or maybe you then switch to the brush. You can do that. Let's go back to the quick selection here. And again, working with my bracket size, holding down that Option to get exactly what I want. And again, to get the perfect selection, I would always do the pen tool, but if it's quick, if it's easy, you could do something like this. And the reason why I'm doing this is just to show you the capability that what it can and cannot do. Okay, and so sometimes though it might take a little bit longer and you might feel uncomfortable with the pen tool, it can be the best option for you. But again, I just want to show you what this can do. And it's sort of picking up the color, you know, overall quite well. Okay, so deselect on that, Command D. Now, if I just wanted to take a chunk out of this, just to maybe make an interesting composition with this up here, and all these are the same, rectangle, elliptical, whatever you want to do, it's all the same. I come over here, and this is what I selected. So let's just say this is what I want to move. I come back up to my Move tool, V, and I can move that. Now, usually I would move it off the screen, so then maybe I'd move it into my big space, and that's what it would look like, right? So if we're doing anything with windows or squares or something easy that could be moved, those are perfect for that. Again, the same with this, is that maybe I want something like that. I do the Move tool, which is V, click and drag, holding down that selection and letting go. Alright. So again, coming back over here, lasso tool. So again, if you hold down, it's going to show you what it does. So this is allowing you to make freehand selections, but you can even see on the sample here, it's not getting in depth because you have to make sure that you're in depth as well. So I am clicking and holding down. I'm not letting go of my selection. And this can be kind of hard. Now you can use a Wacom or Wacom tablet, and it could be much more easier for you. Sometimes using a mouse, as you can see, can be quite hard to do. Now, what I wanted you to take notice there is that I clicked here even though I began here. Once I click off, it will finish the selection for me. So this is sort of a one and done process where, you know, maybe this kind of funky, fun groove is what I wanted, and that's fine. But I have to make sure I finish, or else it will finish the shape for me, and it will usually look off. Polygonal tool. Again, hover over it, so create sharp edges. So with this would not be a good selection tool for a flower, right? A building, you can see how it's sort of like the pen tool, and that has a sticky essence with it. But this would be great for anything more geometrical, maybe roofs or something like that, but definitely not an organic feature. And then you see here, what's happening here is that this is the end, that's the beginning, and that you're getting that circle because it's saying we're finished, we're sticking together, and then there's your selection. And the magnetic tool, I do like that one as well. So what happens here is that I click, and I don't have to hold down on my mouse. I'm just moving along the shape. And it is sort of, well, magnetizing itself to the color that it thinks you're selecting. So I'm really trying to select the flower, and it's really trying to do its best job into getting that. And sometimes these are great, but you can see what's happening here. I'm making little mistakes. This can get twisted up quite easily by just shifting the mouse around, right? And let's see, like if I just finish here, you have some awkward things happening. So if you need quick and easy, and if the piece is quick and easy, you can certainly use these tools. Though overall, the quick selection tool is quite nice. Using select and inverse is great. And then making sure you feel comfortable with the pen tool. And once you master the pen tool, either in Photoshop or Illustrator, though there's extra things you can do with that in each program, the understanding of how to use the pen tool and how to work with the curves are basically the same. So feel comfortable in one, and I guarantee you feel comfortable in another. Okay, so with this right now, I selected this little guy out. So let's do that to continue our composition. So again, there's different ways I can do that, but I'm going to do it with a quick selection, I think. Again, just to show you how much control, or maybe not control, I have on this. But you can use any of those selections that you think is great and will be useful for this. And these are just easy to do selections. I'm not really working with the fine edges or anything like feathering, which we'll get into later. And again, I could really zoom this in. I could really make this small. And whatever I don't want, I'm brushing it down and brushing it away. It's sort of like knocking sand off a shoe. I don't want it, so I'm knocking it away. Same concept. Knocking that down, the green, adding that back in. So it's a lot of give and take. It's a lot of experimentation and play. But this is a great way to start off selecting items. But again, do not neglect the pen tool. The pen tool is your friend in Photoshop and in all programs. Just feel comfortable with it. And I think that's good enough. So I'm just going to take that little guy, going to come over here to my move tool, and you can see that the move tool now, because there's selection, has made a little pair of scissors for the icon. Click, and drag that over. Great. So let's see. It's over here. I have a couple floating around. So I'll just name this Bud. So I'm going to, again, Option, Command, click and drag. That's one way you can do that. Or you can do Command J, or you can bring this down to New Layer Icon. So those are all different ways that you can do that. Now I have a troop of little buds floating around. Again, holding down Shift, I can free transform, Command T, and rotate that. And sometimes that happens. Really, I just took the center point, so try never to be on the center point. And you just want to click Enter for that. We'll give one over there, and we'll just have one floating up and turned over, and holding down Shift, making it a little bit smaller. And that's good enough. Alright, and there you go. So that's how you can work with the different easier selection modes in Photoshop.